After nearly 3 years of development, Zelda fans are finally just weeks away from their first main series console game since the Skyward Sword. It's been a long and bumpy road to get to this point, so let's take a look back at how this all came about. Our story begins on June 10th, 2014 with Nintendo's E3 Direct presentation. Producer E.G. Aonuma snapped his fingers and introduced us to the new land of Hyrule. Gamers took one look at the landscape and correctly predicted that this new Zelda would be bucking the trend of past Zelda games, taking a more Skyrim open-world approach to the series. We'd just have to wait until 2015 to find out for sure. 6 months later at the 2014 Game Awards, Aonuma and Shigeru Miyamoto gave us our first look at the gameplay, showing how you can mark a spot on the map and use various methods of travel to get there. From the sailcloth to horse riding on Epona. Horse-mounted combat returned, but the biggest new change to gameplay was a slow-motion shot while leaping off of Epona. In spite of Aonuma's assurances that the new Zelda title would release in 2015, that obviously did not come to pass. For 11 long months, Nintendo went completely silent about the game, not even showing any new footage at their E3 presentation for that year. It wouldn't be until November 11th, 2015 that Nintendo finally announced the next Zelda release, the HD port of Twilight Princess. But while it wasn't the Zelda news that fans were hoping for, Nintendo did reaffirm that the Wii U game would be released in 2016. That obviously did not come to pass either though. Between frequent delays and the rumors of the upcoming NX, it was pretty easy to work out that Nintendo was repeating what they did with the Twilight Princess, pushing the game back to serve as a launch title for Nintendo's next system. On June 14th, 2016, at least the information drought was over. E3 of 2016 was all Zelda all the time, starting with the big reveal of the game's proper title, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. More than just the title, gamers got to see what they would really be in store for in the game. Among the bigger changes to the series included a wide range of disposable weapons and gear. Instead of having one sword that you may upgrade a couple times throughout the game, Link can collect a variety of both proper and makeshift weapons with various different abilities. Likewise, food will also be a central mechanic. Collecting and cooking different recipes will grant Link temporary health or other buffs, such as resistance to cold weather. And while we haven't seen Link's signature green tunic yet, different clothes with different functions are also available. As far as dungeons go, Nintendo has stayed mum about how much of the game will revolve around the sprawling, elaborate dungeons we've come to know and love. Instead, the landscape is littered with mini-dungeons known as shrines. The shorter dungeons seem to be pretty straightforward, presenting Link with a couple of puzzles based on a particular item or ability. 4 months after E3, we got to see what the new Zelda game would look like on a next-gen system when Nintendo announced the Nintendo Switch. The brief clips didn't show anything terribly new though, and it wouldn't be until December 1st, when Breath of the Wild got a second trailer, that we got our first look at NPCs and a few hints about the story. Finally, 10 days ago, Nintendo held a presentation for the Nintendo Switch, confirming that Breath of the Wild would be a launch title for the new system on March 3rd. At the same time, Nintendo put out a new trailer showcasing more of the game's story and revealing that it'll use some pretty heavy voice acting. Unfortunately, because Nintendo still thinks it's 1987, don't get your hopes up about playing the game with subtitles. Apparently the game's language will be locked to the language of whatever your Wii U or Switch is set for. Likewise, for you Wii U owners out there, don't expect to use the gamepad for easy item switching. In spite of being originally developed for the Wii U, Breath of the Wild has been designed or redesigned to play identically on both the Wii U and the Switch. But hey, at least Nintendo isn't delaying the Wii U version of the game to boost the Switch sales like they did with Twilight Princess on the GameCube. But enough negativity. There are a few more cool things to mention. While Epona is in the game, until you get a hold of her, you'll apparently make your way around Hyrule by sneaking up on and taming wild horses that you can name and stable for later use. Horses don't appear to be the only animal companion either. If the Twilight Princess amiibo functionality is any indication, Link will be able to tame a collection of pets for various purposes. From a story standpoint, it's clear that this is the most dramatic presentation of a Zelda game we've ever seen. Still, it's anybody's guess how things will play out. As near as anybody can tell, this game follows the Zelda tradition of Link being a lone hero forced to clean up somebody else's mess from generations past. In this case, that mess is the Calamity Ganon, who has gone from Evil Pig Demon to Evil Pig Demon Cloud. It looks like whatever happened in the past forced Link into a stasis chamber, and after a 100-year-old nap, he's woken up from his cryosleep with amnesia and needs to piece together what happened to the world a century ago while working to save it in the present. Of course, everybody has their own theory about where this game takes place on the fabled Zelda timeline, but seeing as there's no obvious connection to any other Zelda title, there's no way to know for sure until it comes out, and even then it could be tricky. And that is the Legend of Zelda. Moving on to movies, hitting theaters this week is Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. 15 years of Paul W.S. Anderson desecrating the Resident Evil franchise ends this Friday with one last romp across the zombie apocalypse. I used to really despise this franchise, but it's not like Capcom has been doing the series any favors themselves lately. However, with the movies ending and Resident Evil 7 on the way, maybe this week really does mark a new beginning for the franchise. Over on television, The Outsiders starts their second season on WGN, which apparently is still a television network. If you haven't heard of it, The Outsiders appears to be a drama showcasing what happens when you vote for Donald Trump. Next up on Sci-Fi, did you ever wish that Harry Potter had a lot more sex in it? What am I saying? Who didn't? Anyway, The Magicians is that, but somehow that alone doesn't seem to make for compelling television. Weird. On ABC, Scandal returns for its 6th season. Scandal holds the high honor of being the only contemporary work of political fiction more outlandish and unbelievable than reality. And on the CW, what makes less sense than a live adaptation of Archie? A live adaptation of Archie is a teen drama murder mystery. I guess with the Vampire Diaries ending, this is where they fill in the high schoolers in love triangles do morally questionable things gap. Finally, since this video is mostly about Zelda, Amazon Prime has a new series about Princess Zelda's namesake, Zelda Scott Fitzgerald, played by Christina Ricci. In video games, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue comes out this week for the PlayStation 4. If that title sounds confusing, you don't know the half of it. The Kingdom Hearts franchise makes Metal Gear Solid look simple and concise by comparison, but hey, the music is always good. Also on PS4, but more importantly the PC, it's Resident Evil 7. I remain skeptical that this game will have a solid connection to the rest of the Resident Evil franchise, much less return it to its former glory, but the demo was pretty nifty, so it may at least be worth a shot. And Resident Evil isn't the only survival horror entry this week. HEP is a pretty good-looking survival game with clear Dead Space influences, so if you're more interested in fighting monsters in space than in a swamp, you have options. Next up, we're cashing in on absurdity with Alpaca Paca Dash, a game about a magic alpaca that shoots laser beams and wears a hat. Meanwhile, Panty Party appears to be a game about sentient flying underwear shooting other pieces of sentient flying underwear, because Japan. And that was far from the only pervy game out this week. Look out, Honey Pop, Puzzle Wishes is coming for that Match 3 dating sim market share. Coming out a whole year and a half after everybody lost interest, Puzzle Wishes features partial voice acting and swimsuit glamour shots to oogle. And speaking of partial nudity, the Tales series has a new entry with Tales of Berseria. This action RPG seems a little more action-y than I remember the Tales series being, but it looks nifty nonetheless. And finally, I think I've found the least interesting looking tower defense game ever. My Super Tower 2. Wait, 2? This is a sequel? Okay, I've looked, and I can't find any trace of a My Super Tower 1 that could have preceded this game. The sequel has a Metacritic page and a GameFAQs page all ready to go, but as near as I can tell, My Super Tower doesn't exist. Wrapping things up with this week's CGBros video, we have Burp by Marco Perugini, a twist on the Red Riding Hood story with classic music and great visuals. And that leaves us with this week's awesome video, also from CGBros. We have Cable, The Chronicles of Hope, an X-Men fan film by K&K Productions. It's not the best acted, but the special effects are there. Well, the fight choreography is okay. Look, it's got the X-Men in it, and it's relatively comic accurate. That's everything for this week, so what's your level of excitement for the new Zelda? 1 to 10, 10 being the top. Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, pass this video around to your friends, and have a great week!